Uh-oh. Where'd you go, Edson? I lost him already. I don't believe this. Do we have to abort and start over? There he is.
Sorry.
Lost you there. What happened?
I don't know. Like I've been having
the beauty of live.
so long.
Your camera's not working. You dropped out right during the theme. It is what it is, as they say in the biz, right?
I hope the games tomorrow aren't going to be like that. Jeez.
You know what this is? This was Marquise Pouncey snapping the ball over Ben Roethlisberger's
head. Yep.
We're down 7-0 to the Browns already.
Oh my gosh, that's true.
Yeah. So we both went 4-2 last week because we had all the same games. So yeah. All right. Well, let's get into it. The first game was let's see if I can find it here. A good one. A really good one.
Yeah.
Colts in Buffalo.
I'm glad they started off with this game. And it actually was pretty surprising to me because the Colts had a really good game plan against the Bills, and they executed it pretty well for a while. And I think they should have won this game.
Yeah, they definitely outplayed them for sure.
Yep.
Phillip Rivers looked really sharp. It was the Bills made just enough plays. To me, you know what it felt like though? It felt like all the external pressure on the Bills because it's been so long. What was it 25 years since they've won a playoff game, 20 years since they've had a home playoff game. And it just seemed like all that pressure from the expectation that they were going to just blow through this caught up with them. They just seemed to be playing a little tight. And I think now that they got through this game, even though they were definitely outplayed, I think they're going to be okay going forward.
Yeah.
But what do I know?
No, I mean, you're right. I think you're right about that. Like everybody was just saying, oh, Bills are going to blow them away. This is going to be the easy win. And all the pressure was kind of on them in that way. So, yeah, they did seem kind of not themselves at the beginning before they started making some plays. But I give the Colts a lot of credit, too. Obviously, they came in trying to keep the ball away from the Bills' offense, and they went on some long drives. And their defense was doing okay. Their front four was actually getting some pressure consistently. Unfortunately for them, Josh Allen just rolls to the right, kind of like avoids that, and still makes his plays. And unfortunately for the Colts offense, it's nice to go on those long drives, but you do have to finish them off. I think they left a lot of points in the field.
Yeah, I agree. Especially, they got 78 yards from Taylor, 75 from Hines, and another 11 from Pittman. So between the three of them, they're 170 yards or so on the ground. And Phillip Rivers put up 300 plus yards, so in 2 touchdowns. But you're right. It just seemed like, I think the touchdown the Bills got right before the half was the difference in the game. So.
Yep. But still, I am a little worried about the Bills' defense because when they went up by 2 touchdowns in the second half, third quarter, I believe, late third quarter, and the Colts came right back and just forget the long drive. They came right back and closed within one score within like 2 or 3 minutes. Then the Bills went and scored that field goal, and then the Colts came right back again. I'm just a little worried about the defense.
Yeah, and again, I think sometimes it's certain matchups that work out that way. I think Buffalo, they've done this to us before, where we thought, oh, their defense doesn't look very good, and they hit that little lull where they did lose the 3 games. But I just have this feeling that they're going to be okay. I think they just kind of stumbled their way through that one. But that's I don't want to take anything away from the Colts. The Colts are a really good team. They won 11 games for a reason. But it was evenly matched for the most part. It played out the way I kind of thought it would play out, and I just thought the Bills would get the upper hand. Although, like we said, the Colts carried the play, so I don't think you'll see the Bills play like that again the rest of the way. But what do I know?
I was waiting for you to finish for that.
because I picked Seattle.
Yeah, me too. This was like this was like the longest game. It was a marathon. It was like I thought it was never going to end, and not a long game as in a good way. It's like, jeez, it was like 15 punts between these two. I mean, their offenses did nothing in here, and you would think that maybe a game that kind of harkens back to maybe the 70s, defensive game would be attractive. No, this wasn't really attractive watching that.
Yeah, I saw a little bit at the beginning and a little bit at the end, but I have to confess I missed the rest of it because I had to travel. I was on the road. I know Wolford got hurt early on,
Yep.
and he's not going to play this week, so Goff came in. But I think the big surprise to me was Russell Wilson's
Yeah.
ineffectiveness, complete ineffectiveness. I don't know what happened there.
I don't know what the heck happened to this whole offense in general from the beginning of the season through now, and him specifically too. It's like I really honestly thought it was going to be that this was playing out like I thought it would, with defensive game mostly, tight score, but that Russell Wilson and the Seahawks off would just make that couple of plays that would just put them over, and it never materialized. That, and it's like I get that the Rams defense is good, but for them not to be able to do anything, I don't know.
And you're right; they look like a team in the AFC that had offensive troubles in the second half of the season. It's really bizarre, and I didn't expect it to carry over into the postseason. The postseason is a totally different beast. There is no tomorrow. There's no fixing it the following week.
Yep.
I didn't think the Seahawks would continue to struggle with their offense, but clearly they did, and it's just I don't know. It's a head scratcher to me. When I did get to where I was going and I saw the score was 30-20, I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" Yeah, actually, it was 30-13. And I saw the Seahawks score and make it 30-20, but there were only like 2.5 minutes to go, so there's no way they were going to catch up. But yeah, that was weird.
And the other thing that really surprised me was, even as it was, the Rams had that lead, and you think that at this point, the winning team is going to go into some kind of prevent, trying to chew out the clock. No, they kept coming out. I mean, they were sacking Russell Wilson right up till the end. It's like they didn't back off at all.
Yeah, which I made a note of that too, mental note, when I was watching the end of the game. Like, they're mathematically not able to come back, and yet they were still coming after them. They're division rivals, and
Yes.
the Rams made a statement, and they want them to remember it all summer. That's what they wanted. And good on the Rams and good on Jared Goff. They did something I didn't think they were capable of doing, especially because Goff wasn't even supposed to play because of his thumb. So he was dressed as the the backup emergency. They didn't think Wolford was going down so quick, but
it was mostly their defense, though. I mean, not that I fault Goff. I mean, he is injured, and a lot of his balls just came out like just wobbly,
right,
and inaccurate. But
yeah, I'm just looking at some of the stats. Pretty pedestrian stats on both sides of the ball.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So that leads us to what almost, I mean, the result wasn't a surprise, but the game itself was a surprise. The Saturday night game, and I got to see the first half or so of this one. Yeah, wow.
This was probably the more, well, I know something else is going to happen in Sunday night's game too, but this was one of the more surprising games, definitely, and I think in a good way. Even though Tampa Bay wound up winning, the way the Washington quarterback Heineke there played was a pleasant surprise, and I was actually rooting for him.
Oh God, yeah. So when I found out that afternoon that Alex Smith wasn't going to play, I was kind of bummed because I was going to try to find a way to watch this, even though I knew I wouldn't be home. And then when I found out he wasn't going to play, I didn't care, and we ended up at a sports bar at the Mohegan Sun, where I could watch the game on every TV. And then he was playing so well. I really was hoping somehow, by some miracle, he'd find a way to win the game for them. 306 yards passing, 46 rushing for him. Just incredible. And Cam Sims put in a 104-yard receiving day. It's just, Cam Sims hasn't done much this year. It's been McLaurin's show, and out of nowhere he comes. So yeah, they came close. I mean, they made a valiant effort, but
yeah, he played lights out. He was I have to admit I didn't even know Alex Smith wasn't gonna play until like the actual start of the game when
yeah,
the offense came out, and I'm like, what the heck just happened?
I heard it on the radio in the afternoon. I was going to let you know, and I forgot. I was going to text you and tell you Alex Smith's not going to play. Yeah.
And immediately I started thinking, oh, this is going to be one of those blowout games on a primetime game or whatever. And then I started watching.
That way early, actually.
It did look like that way. He was probably just getting his feet under him. It was his first ever NFL start, crying out loud. And he in this type of atmosphere in the do or die game, and he did everything that you could have expected and much more than what you could expect. This stuck in my head. It was probably in the second half, third quarter, I believe. And this play was kind of meaningless, but it just hit me that how cool he was. It's like he threw a pass, it got blocked at the line of scrimmage, came right back to him, and he, without even a second thought, he immediately just slapped it to the ground, which is the absolutely correct thing to do in that case. I see so many veteran quarterbacks, 5-10 years, the instinct, they just go and catch it and they try to make, and then something disastrous happens, like a fumble or 15-yard loss. He didn't even it even occur to him. It was just an instinct. It was like, this guy really, the situation is not getting to him at all.
I've seen Tom Brady catch his own swatted pass and try to make something happen. So yeah. Chase Young didn't get to Tom Brady like he predicted, but they did get to Tom Brady 3 times.
Yeah.
And they played as a unit. Washington played better than I think anybody thought they would, being a 7-9 team going into the playoffs. It's a very young team. A lot of those guys clearly in their first postseason game. So I give them credit. They're definitely on their way up. I think there's a bright future there in Washington. As much as I loathe Dan Snyder, I'm happy for the team in the city. So.
Yeah, I think so too. And I hope that whether it's there or some other place, I hope this kid gets a chance at a quarterback job, whether it's in Washington or another team.
No. I hope he does. Very small sample size.
No, I know. No, I'm not saying automatically give him the job. I hope he gets a chance to compete for one. That's what I meant. Yeah.
If there's one thing he showed, he's got cojones, because he went toe to toe with Tom Brady.
Yep.
On national television. Didn't
phase him.
Yeah, right. So then Sunday. I got up. I did stuff. And I waited, and 1:00 felt like it was never going to come. Finally, it did, because this was the one game of the weekend besides my team's game. And I actually wanted to watch this one more than mine, because I thought, well, we'll get to what I thought.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, and I forgot this was on ESPN, and I was like going to the channels, and I'm like, where the fuck is the game?
Oh, I know. Go through all the.
I'm like, oh, because I don't have cable, so I had to go to the streaming app, and wow, this game was what I thought it was going to be. And early on, it looked like the Titans had them. 10-0, and I'm like, well, it looks like the Ravens are the Titans, bitch.
Yeah. This was the one game that I thought could lead into like a high scoring back and forth, and it didn't exactly do that. But when I saw the Titans go out to that 10-0 lead, then I thought this was something that was going to just turn into a complete blowout, because
totally. Early on, he's hitting AJ Brown all over the field, gets the early touchdown. The very next time they get the ball, he hits the tight end Fursker there.
Yep.
And the guy goes like 40 yards and gashes their defense. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be sad, right? Once they get Derrick Henry rolling, it's over. Well, they never got Derrick Henry rolling. Right. And then there was to me, the game turned on the play where they had it was long, like 3rd and 14 or something. And Lamar Jackson not only breaks contain and gets the first down, he scores a touchdown.
He scores a touchdown.
He goes like 48 yards and scores a touchdown. And right there, the whole thing pivoted, and it was over. And suddenly the Ravens got all the momentum and just shut the Titans down.
Yeah, that's when it changed. I thought the Ravens defense did a good job after they got, they gave up the initial score, but they kept the game within, a certain um, score, so that the Ravens, we've said this before, the Ravens get far behind, and they're kind of completely out of their game. And I thought the Ravens defense, kind of after giving up 10 points, kept them in there long enough for the offense to catch up, and
Yeah.
that happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was some kind of stat. They were 0 and 20 something if they were down by double digits
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
halftime under Harbaugh. Yeah. So this was their first double-digit comeback win or it's in the Lamar Jackson era or something. I forgot what the stat was, but I know they hadn't won a game trailing by double digits. It's some weird, either with Harbaugh or with Lamar or whatever. But either way, that was the first time they did it. And you're right. They're not built to come from behind. They're built to grind it out, eat the clock, and pummel you. Hollywood Brown showed up.
Yep.
I think he had more receiving yards in that game than he did all year combined. He was all over the place. So hats off.
I noticed Lamar Jackson going on those when on the run plays where he has the choice to give it away. He didn't do a lot of that. He just made up his mind he's going to, and he got stopped a lot, but he still it was kind of almost like, here, I'm going to put it on myself no matter what. And I'm going to take it myself. And he finally, like you said, that one play where he broke containment and went for like 50 yards, that was it.
Yeah, it was kind of weird because and it must have been from the previous two losses to Tennessee. They weren't trying to bounce him outside much. They were trying to run Lamar up the middle.
Yeah.
And you're right. And they were stopping him. But that one play, once he broke that contain on that one play, it changed everything. And let's face it, Tennessee fired their defensive coordinator after the game, and they've had trouble all year, all year long. So it finally caught up to them in a big spot. So
I do give the Ravens defense some credit, though. They kept Henry to around 40 yards
40 yards on 18 carries, something like that, 44 yards. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if they keep that up, they have a chance next week. But
yeah. We put a fork in one of these teams, and finally we were right about that.
I keep remembering. I just can't stop laughing at that stream we did. It's like, I wanted to put a fork on back in week
2.
This was kind of the most exactly predictable game that happened all weekend. It's like Chicago did exactly what it's almost like they came full circle from the beginning of the season to now, because they were exactly that team in this game.
Early on, they were hanging in there, and Trubisky threw a beautiful ball.
Oh, the drop,
flicker.
Yeah, that was
to Wims, and it went right through Wims.
Yeah.
And he did the basketball hoop thing, went right through his arms. And I stood up to go get something. My drink was empty, and I stood up and went, ball game over. You just knew, like, that was, if he scores that touchdown and it's 10-10, it's a whole different animal, I think.
Yep.
And the Bears believe. But that one, you saw, like, Trubisky's body language changed. Like, he was useless after that. Absolutely useless. Yeah, and I don't know why they didn't pull him and try Foles. I mean, your season's on the line. He can't even get a first down. They were 3-and-out. It was so dull. It was really a dull game.
It was dull. Yep. And as you could see, their defense kind of kept them in the game early on.
Of course.
Held the Saints back, and then, of course, as the game goes on, they can't keep doing that.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara had, wore him down 100 yards and a touchdown, and it was, you're right. The Bears came full circle. They became who they were when I wanted to put a fork in them. When they were 5-1, I wanted to put a fork in them, because I was like, their defense is the only reason they win anything. Their offense is pitiful. They're a worse playoff team than Washington.
Oh, for sure. Yep. If I would have liked to see that matchup, because Washington would have won that.
Yeah. That 8-8. Very deceptive, and they've got a quarterback problem. I don't know what they're going to do in Chicago. I really don't. I mean, do you go out and draft? You're going to be drafting in the middle. I don't know.
Yeah.
Make you trade up.
You're right. It's going to be right in the middle. It's not going to be.
We'll have to do a draft show as the draft gets closer. Not that I'm an expert on college football by any stretch, but just some of the wheeling and dealing I think some of these teams should do. Like, not getting ahead of ourselves, but I personally think the Jets should trade the hell out of that number 2.
For sure. Yep, for sure.
So, yeah. So, and then that brought us to the last game of the night.
Another surprise for me.
I remember saying I think it'll be a blowout by halftime, but I had the wrong team. I had the blowout part right. I had the wrong team. I knew the Steelers were a fraud. I did. That said, I didn't think they were going to lose to the Browns. There's a lot of problems in Pittsburgh, and they're already being addressed. There are 3 coaches have already lost their jobs. What can you say? When that ball went over Ben Roethlisberger's head, the first thing that popped into my head was Peyton Manning against the Seahawks.
Oh, yeah.
That exact same play resulted in basically the exact same outcome of the game. I was just, as a fan, let me just speak as a fan before we get into the technical breakdown a little bit, but it just, the ball goes over Roethlisberger's head. Roethlisberger's 173 years old, I think now. So he's, ducky waddling over to get it. And James Conner comes running, blowing by him to go get it. And James Conner decides to go past the football, turn around, and then try to dive on it. In the meantime, 3 or 4 Browns come down and pounce on the ball. And when I saw Conner do that, I thought of Cam Newton in the Super Bowl. Like, he didn't want to dive on the ball.
Right.
So he took the long way around so he could look like he was trying to dive on the ball, but he didn't want to do it. And it's amazing. And I thought of you too, because all the players that Mike Tomlin rested in Week 17 were all the players that came out and played like shit. Ben Roethlisberger, Marquise Pouncey, James Conner, TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, Stephon Tuitt. All rested, and they did absolutely nothing. The Steelers, 73 games with the sack ended. They didn't touch Baker Mayfield. Didn't touch him.
That was very surprising.
You rest all those defensive players so you can get your pass rush back at full speed, and they couldn't touch Baker Mayfield with how many replacement offensive linemen in the game? Ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember thinking that I know they needed the rest, but that might have worked against them because they found something. They found some kind of good. Their offense kind of came alive in that second half against the Colts. And should you just keep it going for now? And the defense was playing well in the second half. Should you keep it going? But I understand that they needed the rest too. So,
well, and the question comes up that why did the Steelers' backup players play so much better the week before?
Yep.
And I said, well, because arrogant fat cats think they just need to show up when the backups play that well. All these veterans that got the rest think, all we got to do now is show up. We'll kill this team. No. And it doesn't help that Juju Smith-Schuster said, the Browns is still the Browns.
Oh, yeah.
And gave him, because that's all the Browns were saying afterward. Yep, we're still the Browns. It motivated them, and you could see that one team wanted that game, and the other team could care less. And this is Mike Tomlin has a long history now of laying eggs in playoff games, and he's won 3 in the last 10 years. And the 3 that he won were against backup quarterbacks and barely won them, by field goals and 1-point wins and whatnot. There's problems there. They're $20 million over the salary cap going into next year. They've got a quarterback who needs to retire. Yeah.
I mean, I obviously don't watch as much of the Steelers as you do, but I honestly did think that was kind of like a fluky beginning to it. First the hike over his head and gets a touchdown, and then a couple of those interceptions or their tip balls. I mean, just one bad thing happening after another without any kind of big reason for it. And I know he threw other interceptions as well, but you know what? At 28-0 in the first quarter, I did not think the game was over. 28-0 in the middle of the third quarter, it's over. But I mean, if they did find their offense there after a while and became competitive for a while there. My
Yeah, but
big problem,
the Browns went into a prevent defense too.
yes, they did. Yep. Which of course, if you start that in the first quarter, then
Yeah,
you're kind of letting you don't do that until maybe like the beginning of the
yeah.
fourth quarter. So you're right. They did. My big problem was it the fourth quarter where they're down by 13 and they got their offense is rolling and it's 4th and 2 at around like the
And he
midfield
punts. And he
and he
punts.
punts. I was shocked at that. Not that other coaches don't do that, but I usually see the Steelers just going for that one,
And
regardless.
his reason was ridiculous that he felt his defense could stop it. Your defense hasn't stopped him all night. What the hell are you talking? What game are you watching, Mike Tomlin? What game are you watching? He did it in the first quarter. They're down 28-0, and he punted.
Yeah, he did that too. Yep.
What are you doing? What are you doing? You're down 4 scores in the first quarter, and you're.
I thought their momentum was clearly on the Steelers' side at that point, and I don't think they would for 2 yards. I think they could have just done whatever.
Even if they didn't, those are the risks you have to take. It was ridiculous. It was so poorly coached, so poorly executed. Ben Roethlisberger throwing the ball 68 times. 68 times. Yeah, it's and give credit to the Browns. They clearly wanted the game. Baker Mayfield was flawless. 3 touchdown passes. The running game was going. Some of those holes they were opening for Chubb, it was ridiculous. And then the Steelers' tackling was abysmal. Jarvis Landry had a huge game.
He did.
I got to give credit where credit's due. The Browns wanted to win the game. The Steelers thought all they had to do was show up because they're the damn Steelers. And they got what they deserved. They got their asses handed to them again at home by an inferior opponent. So, yeah. I mean, this happened against Jacksonville 2 years ago. Same thing. Jacksonville came in and beat the crap out of them at home. Just embarrassing. So that's it for Wild Card Weekend. So 6 teams wave goodbye. 6 teams move on to take on the 2 bye teams. So are you ready to get into some predictions for the divisional round, Edson?
Yeah, and as usual, we said this last week how the games look kind of obvious, but the NFL always kind of gives you the ones that it's not that obvious. So things do happen. They throw a wrench into the works, and the team that you think is going to win easily doesn't do that. So
they said, as proven by the graphic sitting in front of us right now. First game of the week, Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern on the Fox Network. We got the Goff-led Los Angeles Rams at the frozen tundra of the Green Bay Packers. So Green Bay, 2 weeks off.
Wow. Yeah.
They didn't have to rest their players though, because they played that last game to win.
Yep, they did.
Because they wanted that number 1 seed so they could take that long.
Right.
So Rams on a high, and they picked off the big bad Seahawks. So
if the Rams had a semblance of an offense, I mean, some kind of semblance of an offense, that I would actually give them the roadway to some kind of, there would be kind of a way to win this game. But how can they can't score? I know their defense is really good, and I could see their defense, those front 4 making Rodgers run. I could see Ramsey taking away Adams, his favorite receiver, but it's still not going to be enough because they're probably only going to have to score 10 or 14 points to win this game.
Yeah. Keep in mind they're going out in really cold, abysmal weather up there, which is just what the Packers wanted, which is why they played so hard for that top seed. I think the Rams run ends here. I agree with you completely. I think the front 4 can do some damage, maybe even shut down Aaron Jones and force the Packers into a kind of a one-dimensional offense. Look for Tanyan to have probably a big first half. If it's a tight game defensively, he's going to be checking down. He's going to be looking for his tight end.
Right. Yep.
So look for that. Maybe even Jones out of the backfield. I don't think you'll see the Rodgers to Devontae Adams thing open up until the second half. Eventually he'll have to hit one of those, and it's gonna keep the soften the Rams defense up. They'll have to play back, but I don't know. Ramsey will be on Adams, so that'll be interesting. But nobody has shut that kid down yet this year. So
Yeah, and Darnold, we forgot to mention during the game with the Rams and the Seahawks, Darnold got injured, and I believe it was the third quarter and came out and didn't go back in.
I think he'll be okay, though. I haven't heard
Okay.
any reports of him not playing. We're going to check the Green Bay weather because we do that. They're getting snow as we speak,
Oh my gosh.
which kind of sucks because now it looks like tomorrow there will be no snow. And
Okay.
although it says snow expected tomorrow, so let's check this out.
Gotta have at least one.
Come on.
So,
No, not
Wow.
according to this.
damn.
37, real field 30. Winds 14 miles an hour. Probability of precipitation 25%. Let's check the afternoon. Yeah. Yep. So weather, it's still going to suck for the Rams, clearly, but it would be better if it was snowing out. Just from my personal
Yeah, just to watch that.
Yeah. So clearly we both think the Rams on this one. So
Yep.
moving on, tomorrow night. No, this is a primetime game.
I'm still going back and forth on this even now.
It's a pick 'em. Flip a coin.
Oh gosh. Especially like with the Bills defense is built more for the pass defense and not
Yes.
the run defense. And guess what the Ravens' strength is?
Exactly.
It's the run.
Exactly.
But you can't take away, what Josh Allen and the Bills' offense do either. Geez, you're right. It is a pick 'em. Not confidently, I'm just going to go with the Bills. I think that because they're they're still alive in my bracket at this point. So it's probably, you're right. It's just a flip of the coin. Probably like the team that I made go further in the bracket. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was a 1-point game, a 1-point win.
I think it'll be a field goal game for sure. It depends on how the first quarter, I think, will tell the story. If the Bills can get out to a lead and forces Baltimore to play from behind, that plays to the Bills' strength.
Yep.
If it works the other way around, not so sure. Not so sure. The Bills don't have Zach Moss. They're down to Devin Singletary. I know they signed Devonta Freeman this week to try to help out in the backfield. So they're a little short-handed in the backfield. Not that they made a whole lot of use of those backs, really. Anyway,
Yeah.
they catch more passes than they run.
Yeah,
I don't know. I would strength for strength. I mean, the Ravens' running game is so far superior to Buffalo's, but Buffalo's passing game is far superior to Baltimore's.
Right.
Baltimore, their defense. I mean, Baltimore technically has a better defense, but Buffalo's, if they show up, is equal to the task. So, yeah, it is. It is. I mean, Baltimore's got Humphrey in the back and defensive backfield, and Buffalo's got Josh Norman. So
they couldn't be more like a like strength for strength, I guess.
Right. It's the matchup. I think the offensive matchups it'll be interesting to see how each defense combats the strength of the other one's offense.
Yeah,
and that's where the difference comes into play because they're two distinctly different styles of offense. So that said, I think Buffalo at home. Let's check the weather because I said at the top of the show, I think the Bills are over their jitters. I think. We got some snow.
No, really?
Maybe flurries, snow showers, wind gusts. Look at this because it's a night game. 27-mile-an-hour winds.
Jeez.
60% probability of precipitation. Okay. All right.
I might actually go against the Buffalo because of the passing, but
look at the wind chill. 31 degrees. Real feel 13.
Wow. Jeez.
Okay. That might be fun to watch. So I'll stick with the Bills at home. Baltimore has stumbled in a couple of big games this year, like against the Chiefs.
They certainly did.
So
I would not be surprised either way. I think this is probably not probably. This is like the type of game I was going to say the type of game I really like to just sit and watch because I honestly have no idea what's going to happen, and
Yeah.
it's like watching a movie that you have no that it's good, but you have no idea what's going to happen.
We talked about watching a game and doing a live react. Maybe
Yep,
this is
yep,
maybe. Yeah.
yep.
All right. Next up, let's move on to Sunday. Sunday. Kids get in free with a free Baker Mayfield T-shirt. Sunday, 3:05 p.m. on CBS. The Brownies live to fight another week against Patrick Mahomes and the top-seeded Chiefs, who've been sitting home watching.
And the thing is, we haven't seen a really good beating by the Chiefs against their opponent, even against lesser opponents.
Not all year. I can't think of one this year. Going all the way back to like week 1 or 2. They struggled with the Chiefs. They've had trouble with the Raiders this year. They haven't blown anybody out, have they?
They basically just seem to just do enough to get over. I mean, their offensive production was really great against Tampa Bay, but it was still a close game in the end. And then against Atlanta, they could have easily lost that game. Wow. I forgot to give more credit to the Browns in terms of like how they were kind of in shambles from COVID. Like their coach wasn't even there, and
I know. That's right.
I forgot to give them some credit for that.
I'm railing on the Steelers coaches. The Browns didn't even have one.
Yeah. I mean, they have that running game that could certainly, if they could keep the ball away from Mahomes, that could certainly help them. I'm trying to figure out how the Browns could pull this off. I still am going to go with the Chiefs because they're the Chiefs, and until somebody beats them in a game like this, I think they're going to pull it off, even if it's a difficult game. I'm hoping it won't be kind of one of these blowout games that the Browns kind of just show up and say, you know what, we're playing with house money. If we lose, we lose. No big deal. Yeah.
I kind of think that's exactly how it's going to go, to be honest with you. The Browns won their Super Bowl last week. They slayed the dragon. They beat Pittsburgh for the first time in 24 tries or something like that in Pittsburgh. Yeah, I think Mahomes is ready to come out and remind everybody of who the Chiefs are. Do they have Clyde Edwards-Helaire back?
I heard that just I think yesterday that he was limited practice, so I don't know what that means. I mean, that's kind of okay.
So it's still Le'Veon Bell's show for the most part. So I both defenses are not spectacular by any stretch.
No.
I just think the Chiefs are going to club them. I mean, they're home at Arrowhead. They're virtually unbeatable there. I know they're going to have like 12,000 fans, like the most, but I think the Browns are done for this year. I think they're happy with last week. They're going to get the crap beat out of them this week and realize where they have to get to next year now. It's one of those, you kind of have to take that journey. You've got to take your lumps. And I think the Browns are ready to take that. They're going to get, a real wake-up call this week. I mean, it'd be hilarious if they don't. But
yeah, I don't see how the Browns will stop especially the passing to Hunt. I mean, do they have an exceptional second?
No, in fact,
or anything like that.
No, they're both hurt. And last week, the two corners were backups and shut the Steelers down. Well, didn't shut them down, but
no,
they could have. I mean, they literally were going back into that prevent thing, and if they continued to play like they were playing in the first half, they probably would have. Ben would not have had 500 yards. So, AccuWeather here has it's snowing right now in Kansas City. Again, missing it just by. We've got 40 degrees, real feel 34.
That's not bad.
A little bit of wind, 16 mile an hour wind gusts, 10% chance of precipitation. So it'll be sunny and dry and a little chilly. But the Browns, who cares? The Browns play on the lake, so they're not worried about cold or snow or anything else. So weather will not affect either one of these teams.
No. I remember that stretch of the regular season where the Browns played like three straight hurricane games.
That's right. I forgot all about that. They
So
were like,
they're used to it.
and they were mucking them out on the ground. And you're right. I mean, if it's almost like if the weather was bad, it would play more to the advantage of the
Yeah.
Browns. But yeah,
Yeah, it would.
I can't see them in a track meet with Kansas City. And then we get the last game of the night, Sunday, 6:40 p.m. on the Fox.
This is another
We
one
get
that I'm still going back and
trifecta.
forth. Yep.
Tampa, New Orleans trifecta.
Still going back and forth on this one. And we do have a sample size from this year.
Oh, we certainly do.
The Saints have handled them pretty well in the last two games, but you could say that it was quite a different Buccaneer team that played them before.
Was it?
I don't know. In some ways, it was. I mean, you have Antonio Brown now really making impact plays. That's one way. I don't know if Gronkowski's gotten more.
Yeah, that's true. Although I think Gronk was kind of integrated the second time.
Right. I mean, I'm glad it's Breeze playing. They got all their big guns. Kamara. Again, it's going to be like I feel it's like it's another Baltimore Buffalo flip a coin game, but I do get worried. Well, like I said, well, no, I didn't talk about this, but I get worried about the Tampa Bay, much like I worried about the Buffalo defense. I worry about the Tampa Bay defense. They're not the defense that they were earlier in the year. They seem to have kind of had a slide off towards the end of the year, which is why there was so much focus on how great Brady's doing, because they needed to be great. They've needed to score, upwards of 30 points, and that worries me about that defense. I'm going to go with the Saints, but again, it's going to be like the Baltimore or Buffalo game. I wouldn't be surprised if either one of these teams won, and it might even go into overtime.
Yeah, it's a matchup problem. Tampa Bay does not match up well with this team. The first game I thought, okay, was it like week 2 or was it week 1? It was week 1, right?
Was it week 1? Wow.
I think it was week 1.
Jeez.
And to me, it was, big brother dominating little brother. It was the Saints showing Tampa Bay, you're not ready yet. You have holes everywhere. And if you want to get to the championship level like we are, we've just exposed all those weaknesses. I thought when it came to the second time around, because Tampa Bay was flying high.
Yeah, they were.
They were like everybody's darling to go to the Super Bowl, and then they have the rematch on Monday Night Football, or was it Sunday night? One of those. It was prime time either way, and they got their asses kicked. I mean, it was about as one-sided a game as I've ever seen. And Brady looked like shit. He's throwing the ball all over the place, taking sacks, throwing picks. It was just awful. And that one I walked away from and said, okay, the Saints are just clearly better than Tampa Bay. Now, here's the third matchup, and I'm not. They're still who they are. You are who you are, right?
Yeah.
But this is Tom Brady's time of the year.
Right.
This is where Tom Brady gets up off the mat and somehow wills his team to win. And if I'm looking at these two quarterbacks, they're both old and rickety, but Tom Brady looks a hell of a lot better than Breeze.
Yeah, he looks a lot better than Breeze. Yep.
I think it's tough to beat the same team 3 times in one season.
Yep.
And I have a feeling I'm going with the upset special of the week. And I'll show you. It's a scribble out. I scribbled it out. I had the Saints. I scribbled it out. I'm going Buccaneers.
Okay.
I have this weird feeling. And when I did my brackets before the playoffs even started, I didn't even have these two teams playing each other because I didn't have Seattle losing. So Seattle losing is what caused this to happen.
It is.
So I didn't expect it. And as I've thought about it and thought about it and thought about it, and everybody's still saying that New Orleans is probably going to clobber them again.
I don't think that at all.
I just have this feeling that you don't put one over on Tom Brady 3 times. You don't. And it would play into Green Bay's hands. Either way, they're going to get one of these warm weather softy teams out on Lambeau Field next week anyway.
Yep. Ironically, I think that Tampa Bay would match up much better against Green Bay than the Saints do.
With those wide receivers and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll full disclosure, I wasn't expecting the Rams to win either, so that threw my whole thing off. But I had Tampa Bay going to Green Bay in the divisional and beating Green Bay in my bracket.
Wow.
Because then Seattle would come and meet. So I had these two teams meet, but not in this week. I had them meet in the championship game.
That's funny.
I just think Tampa Bay, just like we're always saying matchups, and I think Tampa Bay matches up well against the Green Bay, and the Saints don't as much. That being said, I think the Saints match up well against the Tampa Bay. So, that math, A beats B and B beats C. A doesn't automatically beat C. That doesn't work with the NFL.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so fun.
Yep.
And I'm not sure if it's any kind of extra motivation or whatnot, but you wonder if in the back of the Buccaneers' minds, they're saying the Super Bowl's at home.
Wow. That's the first time ever if it happens.
The closest thing we've had is the Rams played in Pasadena.
Oh, right.
Against the Steelers in 1980.
That's right.
But Pasadena's not LA. It's outside LA, but it's close enough. It's a couple hours drive, 2-hour drive. So,
wow, yeah. I totally forgot about that. Jeez.
Yeah, but this would be their actual home stadium.
Did they even say what they're going to do for the Super Bowl in terms of letting people? It can't be everybody.
I did hear a few weeks ago they were going to let I think they were still trying to determine the number, but 15,000 maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. In a way, when the Steelers lost, they said, "You know what? Good. I don't want to have them to play in an empty stadium Super Bowl anyway. Screw it."
That's true.
Screw it. The problem is the Steelers aren't going to come close to sniffing that again for a long time.
Well, at least, depends on the rebuild, I guess.
Oh,
well, I don't even know if they have to rebuild, but
Oh, they do. They're $21 million over the cap.
Oh, right. That's right. They are over the cap.
And Roethlisberger counts $19 million against it.
Jeez.
So they're in trouble. They have 21 free agents right now.
Wow.
Yeah, they're in trouble. They're going to go backwards for a while.
Oh, let's leave.
I think this was the roll the dice year, and they blew it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It looked like for a while they're doing very well with undefeated for the longest time.
But you saw Ben Roethlisberger sitting there at the end of the game crying.
Yep.
And he says he wants to come back, but I think the Steelers are going to have to outright release him.
He probably knew that this was probably his last chance. That's why it affected him so much.
And I think Pouncey's retiring. They both sat there for a long time by themselves. There was phone footage of them walking into the locker room long after everybody was gone. So I think they were soaking in for one last time, and they knew they blew it. So
yeah, things like this will certainly make for an interesting offseason when we get to that. But
yep, it certainly will. So, all right. Well, tomorrow begins more fun and madness. So thank you for watching. Anyone watching the replay, thank you. Please subscribe to our little channel. We're actually growing. We're doing okay. We're getting there. Day at a time. We get a couple more. You can contact us on the social networks at the GeekTime Net. We are now on Minds as well as Twitter. We're slowly transitioning. In fact, Culture Casino sent me a message and said he's working on a video that shows you how to port all your Twitter stuff over to Minds. So if that happens, bye-bye Twitter and Jack Dorsey. You can visit geektimenetwork.com or email us at geektimenet@gmail.com. So, yeah, Twitter. Right here, Twitter.
Should have forked them, too, along with a beard.
Yeah, right. So for Edson, I would be Keith. Have fun watching the games tomorrow and Sunday. Drop us a line. Give us a thumbs up. Let us know how you did with your picks. And we'll see you next week for the recap of these games and our picks for the championship. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. If you subscribe, make sure you click the little bell icon to be notified anytime someone from our show drops new content here. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.
Say, kids, what time is that?